Oh, straight in.
Yeah,
Straight in. Not the countdown.
I forgot to do the countdown, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you.
That's all right, man. Guys, welcome to Little Black Book, and this is Marriage UK. You know, a couple times a week now where we're having discussions about the realities of relationships, God, the journey, navigating the journey of relationships. And you know, we don't hold back. We try to source the people that can really articulate what it is about the journey. We are blessed to have Kojo again, always with us. Man, don't really like his trumpet blown too loud. He just does his thing. This is Marriage UK. We have those conversations where we help people understand what it is to be in a relationship, married. If you're single, dating, divorced, here we are. And you can check us out on YouTube under This is Marriage UK or Instagram, This is Marriage UK. And we are honored with can I say a personal friend?
Of course you can, man. Stop begging.
A personal friend, David Mcqueen.
Yeah.
Some of you need to know. I'm going to let him introduce himself. He actually knows my wife a lot longer than I've known him. And they have a good history together. And David, you are looked up to, and you've always been looked up to, man. I can tell you that now.
Bless you, sir.
And before I say any more about you, I want you to blow your trumpet nice and loud. What do you do?
Yes.
And who you are, please.
Fantastic. Yeah, well, Kojo can keep his trumpet quiet there, but I'm blowing mine hard. I'm blowing it. B flat, bro. B flat minor, all right?
Teach me, sir. Teach me.
It's all good, man. So my name is Dave Mcqueen. I turned 52 this April, man.
All right, looking good.
Boy, got out. It's all good. It's all good. Born, raised originally in Harlesden, moved to Harrow, then to Enfield, now somewhere in Hertfordshire. I'm the husband of a beautiful woman called Madeleine Mcqueen. We have been together since we were 19, so 33 years together this year and 26 years married. Touch wood, come this August. We have two amazing daughters, Rihanna, my eldest, and Lauren, the youngest. I am passionate about life. I run a leadership development company with my wife. We run our business together. And a lot of the stuff that I do centers around how do we get people to just be honest, live their best life, and step into what is their true authority, blowing their own trumpet when necessary, but and being just quieter in the back of the band. But yeah, that's it, man. And forever looking for ways. Actually, let me just my last bit, and then I'll shut up my intro. There's a bit that I heard from a podcast the other day from John Maxwell, the preacher and the guy around leadership. And he was saying, look, when you first start out in your career, in your life, everybody encourages you to be successful. And you can go and you can get success, you can get married, you can get money, you can get your house, you can all this kind of stuff. He said, but there comes a point where that success is kind of like you hit a wall. So what's the next bit? It's significance. So you've done your success for yourself, but how can you leave significance? How can you leave a legacy behind you? So when people are looking, how significantly can you impact other people behind you? So I've been I was listening to it last year, but I say for the last 10 years or so, I've been on a journey. Like, what's the legacy I want to leave behind? Yeah, I can have my look at my own stuff, but what can people learn from me? And what can I learn from others that I can pass on to others as well? So I'm really, really on this in the second half of my life, as I call it. I'm on this legacy tip, like I can't even explain. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Very cheeky. I'm just letting people know, okay. So I'm just letting people know that I go straight in, snatch edges, right? And for those who are bored like us too, just snatch the beard. You know what I mean?
It's the wisdom falling down, bro.
That's right. Certain man needs to embrace the boredness, but we'll come back to that in another podcast.
Stay hydrated, guys.
David, before we go on, I just think it's only fair because I know I have an idea what you do, but I'd like to tell us what you do.
Okay.
More so. Just take a minute to just tell us what you do and where we can find you after that, please.
All right. So I run a leadership development company called Q Squared, but most people will know me by my name. So David Mcqueen is where people know me as a speaker. I do executive coaching. So I go and work with a lot of the big companies in the UK, and specifically in banking, insurance, technology, and media. And what I do is I go and work with major teams to help them to be more inclusive around their leadership, how they hire, how they make decisions, how they think. And I work with a lot of senior teams around the country and some of middle managers as well, just helping people to communicate better as leaders. Just type in David Mcqueen in Google. I come up in the top 3 results, so you're good.
I've Googled him. It's the top 3, yeah.
I need a name like that.
Yeah.
That just comes up.
Yeah.
I Googled it.
Yeah, you got to work on it, though.
Well, you're going to show me how to work it. I might give you a 10-minute slot to come and give me some coaching at the end.
He's charging by the minute.
And I'm not charging you, David. That's the thing.
Reverse psychology don't work with me, bro. I'm telling you.
You're too much of a thing for that. Well, listen, man. Let's get into it, man.
Yes.
David,
Yes.
how long have you been married now?
26 years this August.
Wow.
Nowadays, that's a big number.
Big number, bro. It is.
I'm saying, though, before we get into the topic, I'm saying it's not the number, is it? It's how you do the number.
Yeah.
So before we get into the real topic, tell me, describe your marriage to me.
Okay, the best way I can describe it to you, right? Sunday, right? Family lunchtime. Yeah. People come round, right? Whether you're vegan, vegetarian, or if you partake in the meat, all right? You'll know there's going to be a fat meal cooking up, good gravy, good vegetables. Depending on your budget, you might have a little fry planting in there or steam planting, all right? You got some greens because you know you want to have that fibrous balance. You don't want to put too much salt or stuff in it because you don't want to fall asleep straight away. You still want to have the energy because you want it to actually nurture you. And then you get that opportunity where you all sit around the table and you chat and you converse and you feel loved. That's my marriage, man. It's tasty, filling, good for your health. That's how I describe my marriage.
Listen, is this the social media version of what you're talking about, or is this it?
The real thing, bro. This is the real thing. Because here's the thing. Sometimes you might burn the potatoes. Sometimes you might oversteam the vegetables. Sometimes you may not cook it, but it's still the fat meal, and you'll still sit down and enjoy it. It doesn't always come out present.
I will
still
eat that. Yeah.
Still tasting, you still appreciate it, and you still give thanks.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Where did you get your example of what it means to be married in terms of the qualities that you need? Where did you get your example before you were married?
So I grew up, for the people who are listening on the on this podcast, I grew up a Seventh-day Adventist. Okay. And I grew up, I used to go to a church, Wilson SDA, what was in Harlesden a long time before. And what was nice was just looking around and seeing black couples. It was just lovely. Just lovely just seeing black couples. It was nice. Okay. There were some exceptions to the rule, some weren't nice, but it was just nice. And I loved seeing those like older couples who were like just going like, and there'd be, we would have socials. I don't do that. I don't know if they still do socials in churches, right? Obviously pre-COVID or whatever. But they had socials like Saturday night, okay, or on a Sunday, where we would just get together and everybody of all age groups, we would just joke, and there'd be dominoes, there would be checkers, there would be water games, everything, bulldog, people singing Chichibato, everything was nice. And you look and you see across all age groups, people will be just nice. And yeah, don't get me wrong, there were people there with problems, but looking at couples that kind of like just connected, had joking about, I love it. Mum and dad, obviously, they're still together. And I love the banter that they had. There was without disclosing too much, I remember there were times, right, where I was young and I was like, when I'm married, I want to have a bath and have fun like my mum and dad do when they have a bath. Right? Because I'll be like, why are you not laughing? Go and wash your skin. What are you laughing about? And then I was like, when I get married, I'm going to have me and the missus bun the children. We're going to have fun. They're going to laugh and it's going to be like business. And so there were loads of really good people. And even when we were deciding to get married, we had conversations with people. We said, give us the truth. What happens? People tell you, oh, never go to bed angry. What does that really mean? They're like, don't watch that. Because sometimes you will go to bed angry, okay? It's not holding it for long, all right? Sometimes you will go to bed vexed. There are people like, oh, if you're going to get angry, just go and have some sex. No, bro, sometimes it won't go. Don't touch me. I don't want no sex from you, right? Keep it moving. And the good thing about having those conversations with the few couples who were really honest to share that is that it moved it beyond that whole romantic notion of what marriage was about. Because so many people just think it's just about romance and blah, blah, blah. No, they were like, this is functional. There are going to be times where you're going to fall out. There are going to be times where you have differences. And a couple people said, look, there is an option as well that if you realize it is actually not working for you, for both of you, you have to face up to the fact that it's not working. And I really appreciated that. I mean, the last one, I was like, no, I'm going to make this work. We will make it work. There's no way I'm going to be dating my woman for 7 years for it not to work. There's no way I'm going to have 7 years of famine to go in there, right? Not have seven and more years of plenty. Wasn't happening. So we learned a lot from those individuals around us. And I think is the ones who I saw who were free to be themselves and weren't just trying to pretend to be something like people. Those are the ones that I learned from the most. And those are the ones that my parents and others and my auntie and her husband and a couple of others, as I said, in church and around. Those are the ones I definitely learned from the most.
What age were you married?
26.
Too young?
For who? I actually would have got married before, but I wasn't ready.
To the same person, right?
Yeah,
to Madeline, right?
I've only been married once, bro. But anyway, okay, right, fine. No, actually, that's fair. That's fair, yeah. So I'll go back and I'll do the maths for you, right? I've been with Madeline since I was 19 and I've only been married once. Just so you get the maths so that it's all straight. Yeah.
Hey, still.
But to be fair, I wanted to get married to her when I was like 21.
Yeah.
And then we broke up for a little bit and I was like, nah, bro, I'm not ready for this. I'm an idiot. I could never put that responsibility on her. And then when we were older, I said, right, when we were about 25, 26, I think that'll be quite cool. And I think it was just after my 25th birthday, I just sat down. I was just thinking about stuff, and I was like, next year I want to make sure that this woman is my wife. Never too. For us, it wasn't too young, but definitely not too young.
This is the topic today, right? Today's topic is what it takes, and what it takes means. David, what did you have to do to make this relationship the way it is? And the question is more specific to what did you really have to let go of? What did you have to change? I think that I would class you as one of the progressive thinkers. I know you accept that.
Okay.
Where you're not one of those guys who runs on a notion or a culture because it's what we do. You are going to maybe question it. You're going to challenge it. And I know that ethnic minorities, we tend to have a lot of culture.
Yeah.
That just runs and runs and runs through the generations. Maybe I want to know what you had to let go of to make this work.
I had to let go of an inflated ego. Let me explain that. I think there's nothing wrong with an ego, because I think very much it's what protects us, and it's what is part of our identity, and it allows us to be able to navigate the world with a certain sense of confidence. What I had to let go of was an inflated one. I remember actually when I first met her in church, everybody like in London knew who I was, and I say that in an honest way. You go camp meeting, you knew who I was. If I was preaching at a youth day, you knew who Dave Mcqueen was, and what have you. Teens ministry, you knew Dave was. And I remember meeting her and what have you, and she had no idea who I was. She had no idea. We'd go places, and they were like, "Hey, Dave, how are you?" And she'd be like, "Who are these people?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know them from what." And she was like. And I remember one day she goes, "I really like you, and I think you're, a bright guy, but I have no idea who you were. They'll make a difference to me." And then quite shortly after we started dating, I was part of a group as well, a singing group called Assurance, a cappella, 6-part a cappella group as well. All right, we go back in the day now, throw down some bass, all right. And again, even when we went out, sometimes you would see people, and they were like, "Oh my god," and it didn't phase her, absolutely didn't phase her. And I was like, "This one's a keeper. She's not phased, absolutely not phased." Not at all. And so through the whole thing, she's always kept me in check. And in the interest of transparency with your audience as well, I just want to share my own spiritual journey. So I turned about, I want to say, so my oldest daughter was born when I was 33. Just after my youngest daughter was born at 33, I had a really, really, what I call a real crisis of spirituality. Where I no longer believed a lot of the stuff that was happening in my church. there were lots of things that were happening, and I saw it was like the Wizard of Oz. You go and see the Wizard of Oz, and you see behind the curtain, and you're like, right, how things are really going on.
Yeah.
And at the time, I felt I was a rebel. As I got older, all it was, I realized I was just myself. It wasn't about rebellion; it was myself, and I just questioned stuff that was not for me. And it took me about 7 years, and then when I turned 40, I just said, right, I'm done. I quit. I'm no longer part of any of these religious institutions. I want to have nothing of it. And the challenge for me was that here I was, this person who had this profile in church, starting teens ministry, doing this youth speaking, representing stuff, and doing music and all the rest of it. And then I was like, I'm not feeling this. I don't want it anymore. I've done my stuff, and I'm a deeply spiritual person, but I'm not feeling religion. And my wife had to navigate then going to church with our girls, and people asking, "Where's Dave?" And me going, I just can't do this. And I also had to bear in mind that we got married. We're in this space. All our family are Adventists on my side, on Mad's side. And how do you explain that all of a sudden this outspoken person who could read that Bible in Greek and Aramaic and Hebrew, and could break down the Beatitudes and talk about Hebrew parallelism in Genesis, and could talk to you about the Pentateuch and the books of Paul and all the rest of it, how all of a sudden this guy was no longer in there? For my wife, having to navigate that was tough. Yeah. And she said, you know what? And she said, this is one of the most powerful things she said to me. She said, we made a promise that we will, first and foremost, we will always be friends. And once we're first and foremost friends, we'll work through it as friends, and then we can deal with it as husband and wife. I blew my mind. And so she explained some stuff to me, and she was like, this is hard because I still kind of like believe stuff. She goes, and she said, to be honest with you, I saw when you were losing faith from a little while back, because you asked loads of questions, and you asked questions, and you've always been asking questions. You got in trouble in teens ministry because you would tell young people, don't be afraid to ask people questions. You have a right to be able to do that. And she said, I just saw it just ebbing away, because every time it would just be knocking away. She said, I kind of like saw it coming, but I wasn't sure when it would come. She said, but we said we'll deal with this as friends. And my wife rocked with me through that. And let me share one more bit of it as well. So in that time as well, what had actually happened was I was doing this stuff, and I was running a business when I was in 32, 33. It was my first kind of like main business. And I literally went from earning 6 figures to nothing after 9/11. Yeah. At Summer House. Had a nice big 3-bedroom house in Enfield with the potential to build on a 4th. Had to sell my house, bro. Had to sell my house, take my family, go and rent somewhere else, and start all over again. And a lot of people talk about homelessness, and we only see homelessness in the sense of somebody lying on the street. But homelessness is sometimes being able to depend on family to give you a little bit of shelter, because you ain't got nowhere else to go and what have you, or no money. And I went through that phase, and I'm like, hold on, I've got a wife and 2 young kids and whatnot. And this woman just stood by me strong. And she was like, I've seen you take ideas. I've seen you take ideas from small. I've seen you take ideas. I saw you and Paul, my best friend Paul. She saw, I saw you guys take ideas and create teens ministry and bring it to what it was. I saw you create an idea and create musical nights. I saw you take an idea and create an IT business. I've seen you do this stuff all the time. So there's no way at the end of the day that you're going to say to me that you are not going to be able to achieve and bounce back. And then that was it. That was it for me. Every single step I was like, no, this woman's got my back, and she totally understands where I'm coming from, and she totally understands my thinking and my ethos, and she's my ride or die. And so when I talk about that inflated ego bit, what it was is that every time I was able to do stuff, she was like, I don't care what anybody else outside thinks about and what you're able to do. I'm going to tell you the truth about what you're capable of doing, and you need to get up and go and do it. And being able to go like, oh my God, people are like gassed, like, Dave, yeah, what have you, blah, blah, blah. And me being in that space where she was like, I know what you're capable of. Let's do it. That, yeah, keeper. Honestly, 100%.
She should be here. I mean, what's she watching now? Can't you just go and grab her right now? And you know what I'm saying?
And I see she's going to come. Mads? Come please, baby.
Let you go there.
Queen. She's going to want to know why she wasn't here in the beginning. I'm giving you a warning.
I ain't taking the blame for that.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm not gonna shit.
Right. I
It's
see
you,
it.
bro. It's a you thing, you know.
See it. I know where both of you live, you know, and I've got matches.
No worries at all, bro.
I know where both of you live, and I've got matches. That's all I'm saying.
No worries at all. My house is fireproof.
No. Not with the matches I got, bro.
Oh,
Right.
this one's covered by the blood of Jesus. You better come correct.
Right. I ain't fighting with that.
You can't fight that one, man.
I ain't fighting with the house covered by the blood of Jesus. I'll wait till you leave your house and then I'll run you.
Don't worry, I'm still covered by the cloud.
Cool. I thought this was a man's thing.
Yeah, but they want to know about
No.
Hey,
So this
How
is
are
this is
you?
the everybody.
I'm good.
Hello, sis.
I'm actually so happy you came. I was just cussing David. I said, "How dare you?"
well, you know, I did say to myself, okay,
You know what?
no
I rebuke
inclusion.
you. I rebuke you. That's what I do, Chris. I rebuke you.
You're gonna need some serious broadband for
I'll
that, bro.
burn you with the flames that will come off of Kojo's house.
No prayers.
Sorry.
Don't take him on. Don't take him on.
Yes. So this
So
is
why?
Madeline.
Why am I in here now?
Ask
Oh,
you,
okay.
right? Just be patient.
Madeline, listen.
Okay.
The whole world needs to know what it takes to make it this far. 25 years married. Now, David just bigging you up. He's got nothing bad. You are basically perfect.
Yeah. Hey, look,
And
something.
you didn't know that. You didn't know that. You didn't know that until now.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
He called you ride or die.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's about right.
Yeah.
Bonnie and Clyde.
What's that about for you? If someone says ride or die, Madeline is a ride or die, what does that mean?
So before you answer the question,
Mhm.
I'm going to give you the context because they can get a bit seasony and salty. So I'm going to give you the context.
Okay.
They were asking what I had to put to the side in order to be with you.
Mhm.
And I was saying to them that you have stuck with me through thick and thin. When I lost my job, when I left the church, when I lost the company and we had to start from all over again. And I said that you're my ride or die because you always reminded me of a friendship. And our friendship was important, as well as our relationship as a husband and wife. And I said that you have got my back and you've got me totally covered.
Okay, so all right. So here's where it's at for me.
Break it down, sis.
I look at it this way.
Mhm.
I see us as back to back against the world. That's my view of us being a married couple, and that my job is to protect him and to support him, and his job is to do exactly the same
Amen.
for me. And our whole, like, we are two individuals. I like the drawing of two circles that interlink. They cross over each other, but they don't cut it. This is not an eclipse. This is about us. It's like a Venn diagram, right? It is about the two of us still being wholly ourselves, and having this piece of us that is completely together. And so for me, you like that? And so, because otherwise then we don't bring the difference to the relationship, right? We don't bring what we fell in love with in the first place to the relationship, because we stop being who we are and we morph into this thing that doesn't make sense for anybody. So there's things he will do, things he likes. I don't like he likes salad cream. I mean, I couldn't think of anything worse. But that's what he likes, right?
Love it.
Good
Right.
Love it. I can have that on rice and peas, but I'm just
No, salad.
Yeah,
Oh
straight
man,
up, straight
that's
up.
an old-time thing, boy.
Y'all better calm down.
But the thing for me is, when we say ride or die, we're in it for the long haul. And so that means that it's about work. I don't care what nobody says. The most work you will ever do is in your marriage if you want to make it work.
Yeah.
So that means you got to work at it. I'll also say marriage is the longest or the biggest self-development journey that you will go on, because it is about developing you. It is not about changing the other person. And that doesn't mean that you need to become somebody you're not. It's about you becoming your best self and facing yourself, to be honest. Like there was a time when I used to get really, really frustrated because I would say something, or he would say something, and I would, I would project what I thought he was saying based on me and my issues onto him and get very frustrated. The truth of the matter is that his outlook and my outlook are not always the same by virtue of our gender, by virtue of, although we have been brought up in a similar way, right? We're still two different people. Like, we both grew up in church. You know, his mum's from Barbados, my mum's from Barbados. You know, there's lots of things that are very similar, but we're two different people. And I always say, I'm going to put the kind of LGBT aside for the moment, because I don't have an issue. But to be honest, I think it applies to anybody. I didn't marry one myself. I didn't marry another woman either, right? Which means that he doesn't operate like I operate. He doesn't see what I see. So having the expectation of that is unrealistic, because I expect him to be something that he's not. And that puts a pressure on the relationship, because then I'm basically creating disappointment for myself. So then it becomes easy to blame that he's not doing what I want him to do the way I wanted to do it, but I did that because I created the disappointment for myself, right? And so that's why I say it's the biggest self-development journey that you will go on, because you have to learn and be open and honest with yourself about who you actually are. Like, he will say, I'm difficult. He says, I am
strong-headed.
No, that wasn't the word you said.
No, we don't want the professional version. Just give us the raw.
Difficult? What was the word?
I did not call you difficult.
I know. This is what he called me: hard work.
Is it true?
Hell yes. And I am worth the hard work.
Oh, come on.
Hallelujah.
And that's, I know, you know.
Getting ready for the rinse. Oh, no.
You know, people see all of the great and mighty David Mcqueen. They don't live with David Mcqueen. They don't know what that feels like on a daily basis. Having to, you know, he's wonderful, but man, he has issues just like I have issues. You know, we all have issues. None of us bring perfection to a relationship because we are imperfect. We are perfectly imperfect.
Right. So, can I ask a question then?
Yeah, go ahead.
With what you have, sorry, I want to hear from you, but I want to make sure I get the questions in.
Yeah,
but don't think you're talking too much. No. You're giving it to us nicely. When did you realize? When did you get this drop of wisdom that you've been giving us? So, you know, you've been married 25 years.
There's a lot.
Again?
Okay, so I think I'm really lucky. So may call it blessed. Okay, take whichever one you want, right? And that is that my parents were in love with each other.
Wow.
And so when we went on trips, my parents were always holding hands, right? You know, and so it's a really good example. And I remember when I first started dating David, I never forget this evening. We were at his house. It was a Friday evening and his parents had a bath together. They used to have a bath together on a Friday evening and you could hear them laughing. And it was just like
every Friday, fam.
That's the kind of thing.
Told you.
That's relationship, right? But what we're unashamed of being together. And so for me, that was one thing. Learn it.
Laugh in the bar.
So that's like a foundation. And then I think maybe if I'm really honest, you know, I've always been that kind of person. Whether you're into star signs or you're not, I'm a Cancer. It makes me quite loyal, right? And so I want to make it work, right? I want to make it work. That's me. But also, I think if I remember, in all honesty, it was most probably, I remember there's a number two things that have one. I remember one time I sat on the bed, I must have been about 30. So he's mostly told you how old we are, right? Maybe about 30, 34. And I sat on the bed and I turned to him and I said, let me just be very clear. I'm not going to get into my 40s and hate you and resent you. So there's some things you're just going to need to do differently because you have Han. That's what my father used to say, you have Han. And I'm not here to do everything for you. And I need us to have open and honest conversations, because sometimes we would have conversations and we've always talked, we've always communicated, it's a key, but he would shut down or I would shut down, or, there would be just like, as I said, I would maybe project onto what I thought. That wasn't what he was thinking. So, and I said, so I'm going to tell you how I feel, regardless how you feel about it. I'm going to be really honest, and we both need to be really honest in our relationship about how we feel about things and what's going on for us, because without doing that, we are going to get to resentment, because each of us are going to hold things in and not be honest. So that was one thing that happened. And then as I have worked on myself, I remember maybe about 7 years ago, because it's a journey, not a destination, right?
Come on.
So I remember 7 years ago, being in the living room and saying something to him and getting that kind of, because like he would shut down, and obviously depending on what it is and whatever. And I realized, hold on a second. And then in me, I was going, he's trying to say this. He thinks that he's da 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 da. And I had to go, hold on a second. He hasn't said anything. So you're adding something to what you think he's saying without asking him. So yeah.
So there's a question. There's a question in to say from the guests in the room. Okay. My guest, the audience, and I'll put it on the screen and read it to you guys. It says, let me read it from, partners do see and take on elements differently. What would you say to couples navigating that exact path? And then there's a part 2 of it, which says, for so many, it feels uncomfortable, uncertain, unsafe, and it's not. How do you overcome? I'll leave it on the screen so you can kind of read it and then make the deductions.
Do you want to say, or you want me to say something?
No, I'm going to say first. One of the best gifts we had as a married couple was counseling. And we had our counseling before we got married. We were quite shook, because most people get their counseling afterwards, but we had our counseling before. And I will say that's one of the best things we had. Now, obviously, this doesn't land for everybody. But one of the best bits of advice we got given by our pastor, Pastor Boulder at the time, he said, listen, divorce is not an option. If you want to get married, divorce is not an option. Now, that's tough for people, because people are like, boss, if I get into a relationship and this ain't working, divorce is not an option. But how we read it was, what do we have to do to reduce the option of having that as a divorce? If we find that we're not compatible, then of course divorce is an option. But what can we do in our relationship to reduce that actually happening? So one of the things, as Madden was saying, is that, look, along the journey, how we were in our 20s is very different to how we were in our 30s. It's very different to how we were in our 40s.
And how we are now in our 50s.
In our 50s.
Yeah.
But one of the things you'd understand, I think, as Madden said before, men and women, we do think differently. Whether you're reading Men Are From Women, Venus Are From Mars, Love Languages, or Dr.
Men Are From Women.
Men Are From Venus.
Well, they are from women, though, but yeah.
Yeah, but all right, Men Are From
Mars.
He's a Men Are From Women. He does this on a regular basis.
Because I don't read the book. I don't read the book. I'm just telling people what's out there.
Go ahead.
I don't read Love Language.
Neither do I. I'm
just saying people will look at that. I'm saying, and sometimes those pointers alongside like counseling give you an opportunity to ask different questions. So like we made it quite clear to our children. We said this, and some people are like, would you put your children first before you? And we're like, bun you. No. Bun the children. We love our children.
Curtis is like, notes.
I love my daughters. Like, you will never believe. People will call my daughters daddy girls. But I made it clear to my daughters that the way I love you is not the same as the way I love your mum. And if you're going to gang up with me to gang up against your mum, forget it, because I'm going to take her side.
Yeah,
all right?
Come on. Oh, I get you.
Sorry, before you were, we were.
And still will be.
We'll say that all the time. And the truth of the matter is it just very quickly on that is, if we don't have a stable relationship, then we've screwed over our children.
Yeah.
So that's why we come first.
And I just want to respond to that bit about the uncomfortable. This is the thing about the uncomfortable and uncertainty. I think a lot of us are afraid of being uncomfortable and uncertain. Yeah. And we need to sit in those feelings. Sometimes sugar honey hits the fan and we need to sit in that. See, I was polite to you, okay? But we need to sit in that. It happens. We need to own it, and it happens. And sometimes, Mandy will say something to me and it will burn my chest. It will burn my chest, and I'm thinking of words and phrases that I want to repeat back to her. And I'm like, okay, I've got to sit with it. She's right, I've got to sit with that stuff. And sometimes I will say something back, and that discomfort happens. Sometimes we've got to sit. We're not always going to agree. Again, I mean, the last point about being unsafe, I think it's really important to kind of understand or unpick what that unsafety is. If you feel that you're going to be physically threatened or it's really going to affect your marriage, I think that's slightly different. Yeah. But the discomfort or uncertainty about the outcome is just what happens in life. Sometimes we've got to push through that.
Can I also add to that? Here's the truth. Nothing grows in the comfort zone, right? You cannot grow
Nothing grows in the comfort zone.
Your relationship in just trying to stay in this comfort zone, because let's be all honest, we end up being uncomfortable in our so-called comfortableness, right? Because it's not actually that comfortable there, because all the things that we want to do, the things we want to say, the way we want to grow, we're not able to, because we're not addressing the things we need to address. Your relationship cannot grow if you're not having honest conversations. So sometimes you're just going to have to go, you know what? Look, David, he peed me off when I tell you we had this. I didn't talk to him for 3 days, right?
This was a few years ago, right?
This was the Christmas of 2010.
Come on, we can say it. We can disclose, yeah. And
because I was when I say vexed, I was vexed, and I told him, let me be very clear with you. Don't you ever, right? And we sat with it. He didn't talk to me. I didn't talk to him, and then he couldn't cope anymore. He needed to talk to me, and then we talked it out. Was it uncomfortable? Yes, because we go to bed together every night. David spoons me almost every single night. So not that, because I can't imagine being married to somebody and not liking them, right, anymore, because that makes for a cold bed, and a cold bed is a horrible place, right? Because you're trying not to touch, aren't you, as opposed to right. But the truth is that if you don't have the difficult conversations, and you might argue, and you might, when we are uber off the chain vex, both of us go into a low, deep voice, right? So when you hear the low, deep voice,
is that the voice now?
No, this is calm, man.
This is calm. When you hear the low, deep voice, this is when you know
the low, deep intensity. With intensity.
But you know what? Until you're having you've got to have the conversations, which means love is vulnerable. End of. Full stop. Period.
Can I give Can I give a quick tip to Kate, who asked a question as well? One of the things that we had when we were counselling and we're getting counselling, we didn't actually talk to each other through this, but we had a session where we had to ask each other questions. So Madam would ask me a question. While she asked me a question, I was not allowed to respond to it. The only response I could give to her is I would clarify what it is that she meant. So I had to ask her questions for clarity. How is it you feel? What is it you're saying? And I wasn't to project my ideas. And then we would flip it back out and I would raise a question and she had to clarify. Now that is hell of uncomfortable. But what it means is that you're giving that person space so that they're not holding back in their real emotion. They're saying exactly what it is. Sometimes you can clarify. It might be projection. You can get the clarification and do that. But at least you've given that person space to be able to speak. Because if you don't, again, that's when that thing bottles up. And I said, I love spooning my wife, and sleeping like a fork and knife for me is not the look, right? I want to be able to spoon her, and having to deal with that was tough. But then coming back out and having that tough conversations is essential.
And one very quick thing to add on to that is learn open and closed questions and what the difference is, how to use them. So your question, in this relationship, rather than why or even how, go with what. So sometimes we're very good at saying, well, why did you do that? And actually what we need to say is, okay, so what was it that made you go down that road? What was it that made, because it's less accusatory and it open questions, open. So they are, I call them 6 ladies that get answers: who, what, where, why, when, and how. And sometimes we are going with accusations. I mean, we go with closed questions, as opposed to open questions. Closed questions often get us a yes, no, or an I don't know answer.
Yep.
But also it closes down the conversation. Open questions make me go, oh, I need to think about that. Okay, so I had to access a different part of my brain to find an answer. And so sometimes I've had to stop myself and go, okay, let me just take a moment to work out what's the question I'm going to ask that will be in a way that instead of it sounding like an accusation, he will let me ask it in a different way. Like, I want to say, what the hell, right? That's what I really want to say. But then I'm like, hold on a moment. Let me ask another question first, because sometimes we've jumped to a conclusion without asking a question or gaining some understanding. So it's work. It is, and that's why I said at the very beginning, it's work. The work is on yourself. The work is on your relationship. And I'll also say, through that misery, I mean, like David and I, we can't stay angry for long. The other thing is we'll end up laughing and find the humor in it all, because it's sitting there. And if you can look for the humor, you can save your relationship.
Your
Can't
sound's
hear you.
gone. Your sound's
We
gone.
can't hear you.
Sorry, can I just say something? You're
Yeah.
killing us. You have to let people breathe, because you're killing. And I want to say that. I'm saying you're giving so many nuggets. And I'm like, do I say...
Yes, David, scratch that head of yours.
Man.
I'm getting it back.
This is what it actually feels like when it's water, Kojo.
Yeah, scratch it. Scratch it.
I'm preparing you, Kojo.
I don't feel that way yet. I don't feel that way yet, sir.
Let me say something.
I'll let
David's
you
always
have it,
nicer
man.
when his hair's bald.
Say that
And
again?
he starts to grow. He's nicer as his hair's bald. No, baby, I love you. Well, what I mean by this is this. As his hair grows, he turns into Victor Meldrew.
I don't know who that is, but that sounds
You
good.
know
know
that,
Victor
David?
Meldrew?
Kojo,
You know
just,
that,
he just likes the fact that shade was thrown.
He's a miserable.
Yeah, I know.
He gets more miserable.
I find when my hair grows, I get more miserable.
He does. He gets more miserable. So I'm like,
I just want to say, you guys are killing us with the gems. And I have to choose between either answering questions or letting you flow.
You know, give us the question.
give
We'll
us
do
the question, man.
And what we'll do is
Questions.
30 seconds.
But I want to say,
Okay.
I just want to say we've got we're also on another channel as well. This is Marriage UK. So there's questions coming up there. We've got about 20, 25 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Let's see what we can do. The script is changing as we speak.
Quick fire.
Hey,
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go. Earl Ferguson.
Okay.
Earl
Says,
Ferguson. Oh, there it is. Yeah,
If
thank you.
both of you could go back to yourselves on the eve of your wedding, what would you say to yourselves?
On the eve of the wedding or the evening when we got married? The evening before
the
or
eve
the
of
evening
your wedding.
when we got married? Huh?
Maybe the day before. Let's say the day before.
No, sweetheart. The eve of your wedding, Eve, Christmas Eve, the night before.
Adam and Eve.
Oh, dear.
Yes, get him, sis, get him.
Oh, dear.
Snatch his hair. That's already gone. Snatch it.
I'm just helping.
The eve of the wedding.
Yeah.
We didn't see each other, did we?
We did.
Briefly, but we
We
didn't
went for a
really.
drive.
What would you
remember?
say? What would you say? What would you say? What would you say? What would you say?
What would I say? Oh gosh.
This is going to be a hell of a ride. Buckle up.
I would say it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right.
Ah, love it.
Oh, and tomorrow
Let's order extra Chinese.
Yeah, man. We didn't eat. We didn't really eat. We had to order kind. But this is why normally at weddings we give people a little bit of money in their hand because most people don't eat at their own weddings.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
True. Another question by Renee Bees, I think, artist. Says, oh my, what sis Mcqueen is saying is setting off all kinds of light bulbs. So glad I tuned in. Can you expand a bit more about the projecting of emotions and understanding the differences, please?
Hey. Okay, projecting of emotions. All right. So I will say for me, one of the things I started doing was doing a lot of self-development. So reading books like Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, Who Moved My Cheek, all sorts of kind of self-development books, and really trying to work out more about me. And what I recognized was, so when we're thinking about the emotions, is we view, so I mean, very, very quickly, we view things differently, right? A woman sees a door, she sees that bit there is dirty. Look at that. That has been chipped away. Look, oh, the handle, that's quite ornate. I quite like what they did with that. Although I would have done blah, 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 right? Oh, look, they cut out some of the pieces. And we see all of this stuff, right? Men, watch it.
It's a door.
Right?
It's a door.
It's a door. Right? It's a door. And I think that in a lot, if this is the best example of talking about the projecting of emotions, that's how I process, right? That is how I process. I process in detail. He doesn't. And so every time we have a situation, I sometimes have to step back and go, okay, Madeline, you're seeing the detail, he's not seeing it. So there's two things here. One, does it really matter? Is it that deep? And that's been a really great question for me. Is it that deep? And then the other thing is, if I am going to go down this road, how am I going to share the information, get him to understand, look at the, so sometimes what I've learned to have to do, and some days he'll know I'll rage. But what I try, if I'm going to rage, then I better be standing on the high hill of righteousness to raise. Do you know what I mean?
I've actually got a quick one as well.
Go on.
So you're talking about the understanding the differences. Here's a really powerful one that I think is around projection. There's a big difference between you saying, you made me feel, and this is how I felt.
Yes. Yeah.
When you say you made me feel, that's projection, because no one can make you feel anything. But if you say, this is how I feel, this is how I feel, and this is right an emotion that I've got to be able to appreciate. When I say you made me feel, I'm not taking no responsibility for your feelings.
But not only that, you are giving away all of your power when you say that, right?
Right.
And so that's how I feel. So sometimes now I say, look, sometimes for me it's about, okay, this is a situation. Okay, when this happened, this is how it made me feel, as David said. Or when this happened, I'm looking at it and this is what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Are you seeing the same? Do you get what I'm seeing? Are you seeing the same thing? Right? Because we assume and let me just tell you one of the very quick, these are quick things just to remember, right? When about the projecting, which is 11 million bits of data per second. 11 million bits of data per second. As a human being, we can only process 50 bits of data per second, which means that we are missing out on what? 10,995, whatever, right? 90, whatever.
Minus 50.
950.
Right?
Don't worry, we've got you.
Which also means, thank you so much, I appreciate you. Which also means, right, that he may not have got the same bit of data that I did.
Word.
Right? Which means that we're viewing things and I've also missed a hell of a lot, which means we could be looking at exactly the same thing and seeing two very different things. Yeah. It's sobering because it makes you go, hold on a second, let me ask a question before I project my emotions about what I just experienced.
That's some veteran advice.
Bring your questions, bro.
All right. Oh my days. No time to sit on that. All right.
Sober.
Does love have to be vulnerable? Can't we get that love?
Yes, it has to be vulnerable. Ain't no two ways about it.
Let's define vulnerability.
Oh, well, there we go. Here we go. This is happening.
So I think it's important to understand that vulnerability doesn't mean that you lose your power, but it does mean that you are able to sit in that emotion and go, oh, I don't feel 100% comfortable about that.
And it doesn't make you a damn doormat, right? So vulnerability isn't about you being on the floor, being trampled over. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is being open and honest about your feelings and your emotions, and then being open to what's coming back to you as well. Marriage is a two-way street. It is not a one-way street. It's two-way. And if you think it's one way and you should get your way all the time, you have already failed at the very first hurdle.
Hey.
Wicked examples. I'm talking to a guy today, all right, and he gives me this little. We're talking about dealing with race and ethnicity in the workplace, how I navigate, and he gave me this little example. He was like, When people are apathetic, they don't care. Apathy means you don't care. You sit back and you don't care. Sympathy means it's like, oh, you know, I feel sorry for you and this is really painful and what have you. Empathy is when you're able to sit in that room and understand where that person's coming from. And that for me is where vulnerability is. You're not vulnerable if you're sympathetic. Oh, bless. If you got apathy.
All right, darling.
Yeah, man, we're so excited. Got nothing wrong. Swallow.
That's some old love right there, man.
When you're apathetic, you don't care. When you're sympathetic, you're like, oh, bless us. See, when you're empathetic, you are able to sit down there and go, this is a hell of uncomfortable. I don't like what it is. It's okay. Let me give a quick example, right? Very quick example. If with your permission, I talk about menopause very quickly. Can I do that?
Perimenopause, yes.
Right. So, getting older, women become menopausal. There's stuff that you don't talk about. We don't really talk about that within our community. When you're lying,
take a moment, though. Don't die for this. It's not worth it.
Yes, Lord.
Give up your life for this. Give up your life for this gig, bruv. Come on.
Imagine the views, David.
Last will assessment. If you're married to somebody who's dashing off the quilt because they're too hot, and then put the quilt over me because they're too cold, and then you can't drink a certain juice or something like that because it might accelerate. Why is the room so hot? Oh my God, why is the room so cold? Oh, I'm not feeling well. Oh, I'm tired. Right. As a man, because we're not necessarily going through that, you're like, well, what did blows be? What is going on here? What's happening? But part of empathy is me or any other man going onto Google and going, how do I help my wife understand and manage this whole stuff around empathy? What are the stuff that I can go on and say, okay, babe, I went and read fruit juice isn't really good for you. Alcohol isn't good for you. Drinking coffee isn't good for you.
Netflix is not good.
Yeah, I say again?
I said Netflix ain't no good for you either.
Sorry, I thought you said sex. I was like, no, brother, you're on the line, bro.
Even that, right? Yeah. Even from understanding that for a woman, you know, like over time, your sex drive starts to decrease. Yes. How does that? You have to have an open conversation about those things. You know, I'm going to be really honest, being on a period that's exceptionally heavy and lasts for several days because of being perimenopausal has an impact on can have an impact on relationship. We've got to be open and honest about that, about the impact or how we work. And I will say the other thing about this is the vulnerability is look, if you are not expressing love to each other, if I'm not telling you that I love you, right, which it can be quite vulnerable to do, then I'm putting up walls in our relationship, right? Because, you know, the people who say, oh, you know, their partner dies or whatever, oh, I wish I'd told him that I love. Well, why? You should have just been saying it. Like, I might say it 10 times. He might tell me 10 times in a day. I'm never bored of it because what we're doing is constantly expressing our love or telling each other that we love each other. And it's if you like, I don't understand how sex is a pillar of marriage, right? It's a pillar. There ain't no two ways about it. Let's stop pretending like it isn't. If you are constantly withholding, then actually it's an expression. If you are not expressing that or having a conversation about why for you it's a bit of a problem. Now that might go back to something that happened when you were younger. If I don't have that honest conversation, how can we develop the love relationship that we have? You don't need to be macho man. Be honest about your feelings, because my job here is to support and love and help you. It's to lift you up. Well, that's what my job should be, and vice versa. So when you got somebody, like I said, back to back against the world together, then actually, why wouldn't I be vulnerable with you? Unless you're not safe enough to be vulnerable around. And if that's the case, Houston, we got a problem.
Oh, Houston, all of Texas. Whole state.
And it starts from day one.
Let them ask the questions.
Love your friend your love, whatever.
No, love. It works.
Okay, question, because we said this was quick fire, and that was not quick.
The question is, are you ready for part 2?
Well, yeah, what's part 2? Yeah.
Of course.
Well, for us, the two of us.
Yes.
Without the children. Hallelujah. Of course we are.
Sorry, when you say part, you talk about of this or of life?
Yeah, like another show, another day.
Okay, so Mandan was excited about the fact that our children are grown. You see that? They're grown and she's excited.
I'm trying to find out why she was so excited. That's what I'm trying to find out.
That's That's what I was excited about.
But part 2 of doing this, and you know what? I think I will say this. I think it's really important, and we've had some platforms over the year where we've just talked to individuals where people are go, oh, you know, you guys are love goals, marriage goals, and we're like, you've got no idea how hard this actual stuff is. You know, Madden talked about the vulnerability bit now. Just that, look. Some people may go into a relationship and they may have different sex drives. You may have to have that conversation. You may have to go online with your credit card, all right, and buy a couple toys, all right, and make sure that them things are balanced. Because what if you don't, and then that person goes to seek it elsewhere?
Or you might have started off with the same drive, and that age changes things. It changes, or the level of stress you might be under. You've got to have honest conversations about it, and then that might be what we're gonna do, you know.
But definitely happy to have a second one. And I will say the one thing I want to leave here and really reiterate again when we come back in is, look.
By the way, we're not done. Sorry, we're not done. But carry on what you're saying. Yeah.
I'm just saying, this is Madden's my best friend.
He's my best.
Straight up, right? She's my best mate. And I know certain man out there got girls as their best friend and boys and stuff like that. Okay, right? But at the end of the day, right?
Every time, David.
It's love, bro.
Just remember who's sitting next to you. That's my best friend right there. You know what I'm saying? Be careful who's next to you, bro.
No, that's what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying.
So I'll make her go upside the head. You know what I'm saying?
Some women as their best friend, and that's what I'm saying. My wife is my best friend. You understand what I'm saying?
Amen. Good save.
So,
just like what he just said.
Cool. Oh, hold on.
You cannot make this work.
Hold on.
No, because I will forget and I haven't written down.
Guess this says, keep them quiet. We like it.
You can't make this work if you're not committed to make it work. You can't make it work if you're half in, half out. You can't make it work if one eye is in the relationship and the other eye is wandering around, right? And you can't make it work if you're spending time with another person more than you are with your partner. Because you know what? When you spend time and invest in a person, you gain emotional connection. Now, you may not have planned that, but you know what? Stop hanging out with other people. I'm not saying you can't have friendships. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, right? Stop spending time with other people more than you
can. Delicious water.
Stay hydrated, people. Stay hydrated.
This guy is so good.
Let me tell you, comparison is the thief of joy.
I see why. Do you see why I held her hand? I want you all moderators to understand. Mcqueen, let's go. There is no filter, and I was holding her hand because I knew she was going to come with energy.
And I'm sorry, this is a two-way street. I'm not just talking about men. I'm talking about women too.
Oh yeah, I know.
Because you're looking at that one over there and then saying, "Why is my husband not like that?" And I'm not saying he shouldn't be. What I am saying is groom him. Sorry, that sounds terrible.
No, groom,
but do
when we're talking about adults, consenting adults, we can use that word, I think.
Because
yeah.
All right. Here we go. This goes into what you said. Goes into the question I want to ask. Sometimes we want to forget, and I want to encourage everyone to forget the social media version of relationships, right? I'm loving that you guys are just even having some crazy banter between you and still holding hands. That is a mystery in itself. I want to know, bear with me, the question's coming.
That's okay.
How do you love the way you do with the differences that you are? There's a disparity because you are completely different, and we have an outcome. So basically, you do not add up. You both, I can testify for myself and anyone else who's in a relationship. Some people have the same personality and are very similar. I think it's a very tiny minority. But looking at you guys, just to encourage those who are watching, how do you have such differences? And now you mentioned the menopausal aspect. And this will be your summary if you don't mind. And your outcome is, he's my best friend, she's my best friend. That doesn't add up.
Can I respond? Okay.
I'll do it after you.
Yes, I think you will because I'm going first.
Yes, go.
You know? This is what I'm talking about.
Sis.
Great.
Yes,
what I'm
sis.
talking
You have to
about.
keep certain man like him in the place. You understand, sis? Keep him regulated.
Let me just be very clear.
Listen,
before
brother.
I say, before I say anything, let me just tell you now. David McQueen is a man of his own. There is no, somebody else said, oh, you need to take, no, there is no taming. And that's who I love. So let him be who he is, right? Because you all love him too that way. If he was any other way, you wouldn't like him.
With or without
Okay. I love it when he zipped his mouth. I really loved it when he did that.
with or without a red hat.
Okay. So here's my thing. Number one, you got to be in it.
In it to
right?
win it.
You got to be in it to win it. And also, you know, nobody would have thought that if we just look at foods, right? There are some things we put together that on their own make no sense. We put it together and it's like joy, right?
You said that, bro. You said that.
We need to appreciate that where the value comes is in our difference.
Oh, come on.
That's where the joy is, right? Because we don't have to do it exactly the same, but we are in it together. And my thing is it's common goals. It's you know, I always find it, if you've got different goals, then you're going to be going in two different paths. We have common goals. We might have different ways of attacking them, but we have common goals, but we're going to talk it out as to which way we're going to go with it or what we're going to do. And lastly, I will say is because of that difference, you play to your strengths.
Come on. This
is it. Right? You work together as well as
being parents,
being friends, husbands and wives, lovers, whatever. And that makes me want to sing Sons and Daughters, but never mind, I'm not even starting.
Who remembers Sons and anyway? Who remembers? Sons and daughters, tears and sadness and happiness. I don't know the rest.
Second verse.
We will find out, and daughters ours. We too were once about.
Yes, sir.
The key of the depth.
I went
anyway,
alto, man, because soprano.
So,
you said soprano. So working together.
Yes. So at the end of the day, let's play to our strengths.
Yes.
We spend way too much time focusing on the negative aspects of other people.
It is true.
Especially each other.
Come on.
Actually, and so one year, I'm going to give you my last thing that I did. A few years back, he was getting on my nerves. I ain't gonna lie. He does get on my nerves. I get on his nerves, but we love each other, right? And so you know what I did? I saw this really great thing. I'm a journaler, and I bought this book. It was a beautiful, gold covered book, but it was a journal inside. It was a square, and every day for almost a year, I wrote one reason why I loved my husband. Some days it was because he exists, right? Right? I literally,
David, you're lucky you got that, you know, just because you're here. Yeah.
Every day I wrote in it. I searched for things that would make, because he was pissing me off. Sorry, he was getting on my nerves, right? We've been through some really hard times, and but I needed to center why I was in this relationship, and so that's what I did. And then at the end of the year for Christmas, I gave him the book. He said it was the best gift he'd ever received.
Hands down.
So, and I know that year, that really helped me. So we are going to have ups and downs. There are times where your partner does get on your nerves, right? But that's par for the course. Yeah. That's because we're two human beings coexisting together. And so we have to work out ways and look for ways and search for ways to make it work. And it is work. I said it at the beginning. I'll say it until kingdom come. It's work, but it's worthwhile work.
Yeah. I would say as well that one of the things that really motivates me is that there are a number of couples and singles who look to us and to see exactly what things can be like. And having that having that responsibility on top of the fact that we are best friends, on top of the fact that we are husband and wife, on top of the fact that we are parents, for me, is that I was speaking to you guys at the beginning about success and significance. Remember, and I was giving you that point. For me, the significance is what can we leave as an example and what can we leave as a legacy. Like, we love to laugh, right? Madeline has got one of the craziest, dirtiest laughs ever, right? When we first together, it would when we first came together, one of the things that I was like really challenged, like, oh my gosh, this is
you say, babe, take it down, and I say, no, this is who I am. If you don't like it, it's your problem.
Amen.
I love my laugh.
It wasn't corporate events, but we come back. That's another conversation.
And
the fact is, it was still there was difference. Like, you know, again, one of the things Madeline really likes, if we're talking about love languages, right? Madeline loves presence with a T, all right? I love presence with a C. Madeline, she doesn't have to say anything. As long as I know she's in the room, no. I am good to go.
As long as I'm in the house.
Okay, let's go with the house.
She doesn't have to be in the same room as me.
All right, as long as she's
David,
there was a thing a number of years back that there were a couple of times where I bought her presents with a T, and I just didn't feel that she appreciated them. Okay, granted, I got the same birthday card twice, 2 years in a row. Right, I'm just gonna put that
with
out
the same words.
With the same words. It was the same exact birthday card. All right. And there were some other times where but part of it is because I was like, in my head, I was like, it doesn't matter what I get her, because she's going to be like, oh, okay, it's a present. It's not.
He says I'm hard work.
It's not going to be to the high standard. And then I just got to the point where I was like, you know what, fund this. I'm going to buy it. You're going to like it. If you don't like it, I bought it. End of. But then what it made me start doing was starting to think about, okay, let me switch it up as to when we first started dating. What are the slightly different things that I got her that was, you know, and there's one present that I'm really proud of her that I got, and it was inspired by her. So Madeline was talking about when she wrote down those notes in the journal. That was absolutely beautiful. Last year, I came across this gift called Note Cube. I'm just giving it out to people here so you'll know it, okay? NOTECUBE, Note Cube. And basically, what they do is you go onto this site and you can write down your personal, or they have a list of individual gifts.
I didn't know that.
And basically what they'll do, it's like 72 pieces of paper, where on those pieces of paper, essentially when you open up the box.
So it's bigger than this. It's twice the size.
Yeah.
But you open the box and then inside there are lots of individual notelets.
72 notes from me, telling her how much I love her, why I love her, what it is that you do, why is it that you bring that kind of like smile to my face, what's that kind of joy. And I remember when I got it, she was like really shook, and just to see her, because she just didn't expect it. Last year was our silver anniversary. I got her the little silver chain, I got her a silver bracelet which had our wedding date in it.
You got me a pen.
In Roman numerals. I got a silver cross pen.
And after 25 years,
and I got an eternity ring.
an eternity ring. I've been begging for that.
That's the whole point, isn't it? The whole point is you got to wait an eternity. Just like an eternity. No.
I waited an eternity. I waited a life sentence.
All you man out there, that's what I'm saying. All you man out there, that's the whole point. All right.
You don't get an eternity in the first 5 years. I'm sorry. Get some tenure in before you get an eternity ring. Because next.
Okay. So here's the thing is.
You may not make not 25. Sorry.
Okay. But if you made it to 25, then that means that's a sign of eternity, isn't it?
There's lots of other silver things you can buy.
So
keep spending, bro.
But being able to do that, and again, you know, look, we go places and there are times where we will laugh at stuff, right? Our kids don't know what we're laughing at.
Sometimes we just look at each other.
And
we've seen it and we're like,
busting out laughing, and we don't care who sees.
And we have names for things.
You've probably seen us at weddings laughing, Curtis, right? Whatever. We don't care, all right? But the thing is what I will say, and this is what it comes back to, is that, yes, even though we have difference, and even though we are very different, the fact is that we know we can make it work. We will really make it work. And using that analogy of the meal at the beginning that we said, and Madeline alluded to that, it's like on its own, sometimes it might not be that good, but when you bring it together, that stuff is tasty.
Like ground cloves. CLOVES.
That's spice. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's horrible. Put it in a bit of chicken. It's really very nice.
Okay, that's what I'm following you.
So yes.
I just want to say, the world cannot contain you. Do you know what I mean? Thank you so much. I mean, it's good to. I think this is the first time we've had veterans on.
Yeah, we can hold veterans. We can work with that.
Yeah. You are. Yeah. No one is. No, I don't know anyone currently married. Actually, only Eddie Hippolyte. Actually, I don't know anyone else married for 25, 27 years. Do you know what I mean? And
That's amazing, man.
We've been together for 32.
Yeah.
32.
We've been together for more of our life.
Then you haven't.
Way more of our life than not.
Mm.
The majority of our lives we've been together. Yeah. And I'm not bored at all. It's not boring. We have great fun.
We can't be bored.
We don't know. I don't even know what boring is. So,
do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to. This is what I'm going to do, bro. David, tell us. So, Madeline, do you do the similar job to David? Do you work together?
Yeah. So I coach too. I coach and I train and speak and host. Yes.
All right, guys, you might as well end the show. Tell us what you do, and tell us, and would you tell everyone that we're going to see them next Tuesday with Meet the Thorpes? Okay.
Not the Thorpes, the other Thorpes. Because you're thinking of Janine and Fabian, aren't you?
No.
They've got another.
Okay, another Thorpes. Okay.
Yeah. Next Tuesday at 7:30, Meet the Thorpes on Little Black Book and This Is Marriage UK, and tell them you can give. What would we call it? Closing thoughts, and literally I'll give you 60 seconds.
Okay. Next Tuesday with Little Black Book and This Is Marriage UK, Meet the Thorpes. 7:30 Tuesday.
Tell us what you do, where we can find you. No. Sorry. No.
What time?
Did I get it wrong?
No. My fault.
It's not. He meant to do the closing.
I thought you did the Thorpes already.
Because
No. My fault. We'll give you that. 1 second. Bear with me.
What's she saying? I know she is.
Juanita reminded me of something.
Is Winnie for calling you a doofus in the background?
In a nice way. She said she didn't say it like that.
Come on, you dumpling. Okay, right, dumpling head.
I mean, back in the day, it would have been that, but she says it in a different way. She said, "Curtis, you forgot."
See? What she means, and this is learn how to use your words. You're a damn fool idiot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And that's what she said.
That's what she means.
Sensitive.
Let me notice this. And what I really mean is damn fool idiot. Yeah.
We are learning.
Yes, it's a good thing. You're coming along. Okay. So what is it? So who is it?
What do you need from us?
Right, here we go.
Who are they?
Huh?
Who's next week?
Oh no! Hold on. Give me a minute, and then I'm going to ask you I'm going to give you a statement to finish.
Oh, okay.
In a concise, reflective manner. I'm going to start something. Please finish it. Please think before you answer.
Okay.
I need.
What came to my mind?
These two. Just say it. Hold on, what do we do?
Right. After that statement, you need Jesus. That's what you need after that statement, man. Okay.
Okay.
He's rated 18, so let's go.
I'm good at that, bro.
I know.
You go with your one. Go.
You ready?
Go.
I need to love you every day of my life.
Oh my gosh.
Top one.
I need you more than oxygen.
Ooh,
Wow.
look at you, wordsmith.
I hope you don't, because you'll be dead, mate, if you do this kind of move, mate. David.
Overdose.
David the romantic, love it.
It's poetry. You don't know what poetry is.
Yeah, my bad.
I need people to understand that marriage is worth it, but it's hard work.
No, this is you. Just you.
Or just us two, or just us me.
Okay, I'm going to get
you answer it as individuals. But I've got another one for you. Here we go.
I want you to step into your magnificence essence, because
okay.
shine, we all shine.
I need you to give yourself permission to know that you already are a queen.
Okay, thank you.
Next.
I want.
Your body!
I saw that coming. That's the thing.
I want to live life with you that honors who we are as individuals and who we are together.
I want us to never forget why we started this.
Wordsmiths.
I am.
Yours.
I am everything I need to be, which is everything you want.
Gosh. Oh my gosh.
I thought, David's answer was really good. And then
That's why I'm drinking the water, bro, because just thirst.
stay hydrated.
Hydrated. That's right. Stay hydrated, bro. Stay hydrated. Sky juice.
I will. That's the last one.
I
I will
love you and be here for you and champion you and seek to be my best so that we can have the best.
I will continue to honor the vows that have made us the couple that we are, but also to honor the friendship that keeps me inspired every day.
Deep.
Okay. So the script has been changed about 12 times. It's okay. And I love that too. Please just summarize for us in literally 60 seconds and then let everyone know that we're going to be here next Tuesday at 7:30 with Meet the Thoughts. And tell us where we can find you as well.
Okay.
Summarize the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'll do the Meet the Thoughts bit. You summarize it.
That's teamwork for you.
This is it.
Play to your strengths.
Word.
You matter. Your spouse matters, which means that you have a duty, an obligation, and a calling to make your relationship matter for you, for the children you bring into this world, and for those who watch, because you are creating legacy with your relationship. Create the best possible legacy that you can and honor yourself and each other in the process.
And we will see you next week with Little Black Book. And this is Marriage UK here at 7:30 when we meet the Thoughts.
See you next week.
Radio voice. Love it.
This is it. Can I just say, man, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
I need veterans in my life.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
These are young veterans, boy. They got the spirit of young'uns. They got the spirit of young'uns.
That's it.
But also, you have more in your relationship than you may believe you do. It's literally, it's mineable.
You got to search for it.
That's
If
deep,
you're
you
with
know. I actually had to take that in. I just realized what she just said. It's mineable. I mean, you have to, there's digging that needs to be done.
And just, and it's that image that there is that comes with what's the book? What's the book?
The guy chipping away for the diamond mines.
Yeah, chipping away for the diamond mines. And there's the guy who literally is this far away and gives up, and then there's the guy who keeps going. He gets the gold. That's what this is about.
Yeah.
And then gold. I mean, like caverns of gold to mine.
All right. So what we're gonna do?
We gotta end this somehow.
I know. No. But I'm saying what we're gonna do. I want everyone to hear it. When we don't come out of the studio, we'll end this section and we'll be behind the studio at the end. But we're gonna work on another date.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Just let us know.
God bless everyone.
Appreciate you guys, man.
Kojo, you just click that button, man.
Yeah, guys, stay locked, stay loaded, man. You know what I'm saying? Stay hydrated. All right.